when creative people have creative freedom, that's when you get the best possible work. You know, so if you can be there to kind of buffer anything that's stifling that creative freedom, I think that's what a creative director should be doing.
Hello, all my creative friends. Today we're going to be learning from one of the greats. We're going to listen to an interview by Atlantic Records creative director named Gregory Burke. Gregory Burke has had his hand in so many iconic images, it's unbelievable. This guy's kind of a legend, and he's somebody whose caliber of work I've really looked up to over the years. So today we're going to break down a really poignant interview that he did. The things that he talks about in this interview could not be more relevant for today. So we are going to jump into that. But first, what's up everybody? My name's Evan Kaufman. I'm a creative director and a filmmaker working exclusively in the music industry. My job is to help ideate and to help create visuals that bring you into the world that's happening within the music itself. So without further ado, let's get into this interview with Gregory Burke. So in his first interview, he's actually talking about creating the cover for Jay-Z's Blueprint 3 record, and he kind of walks you through his entire process. So let's take a listen.
This sketch that's on the wall is a sketch that I did in a diner as I'm sitting trying to get a mindset as to what I'm going to do as I'm waiting for my son to get out of Japanese school. And this is the sketch that I'm taking to London to show to the photographer, this is what I'm going to achieve. And from that, this is what we achieved, you know? Now, the sketch you saw, my initial thing, it's weird because I didn't send back from London, I didn't send back any images to the company. I didn't talk to anybody at the company. And now you're panicking because you have one day to do all of this. So what happens is before I get out to London, they've already started buying instruments, they've started painting instruments, and now you get there and the instruments are there, they're being painted while I'm there as well. And we still have to figure out how to prop all of this stuff up. We have a set designer. She's working diligently. It is a massive puzzle because the shapes don't fit together. And all the while, we know we want it to be this installation. We go through it. We build it up. We decide what we were going to do is just take... Oh, I'm sorry. The photographer is Dan Tobin Smith, and this is where he excels. This is the kind of stuff that Dan does every day, and he's great at it. I knew of Dan's work for quite some time, and I thought, you know, he's the ideal candidate to do this. The idea didn't come from Dan, but I knew that Dan was the right person to do it. There's another photographer I spaced on his name at Art Department who was a secondary choice, but Dan, I thought, you know, I've been a fan of his work for some time. This is going to be the man to do it. When we started, we were going to just have some instruments in red and some instruments in white, but as you can see from what it is, you can't because the reel-to-reel was going to be a focus point of the whole thing, and there's no way of making it half red, half white. We stood there kind of dumbfounded.
It's worth saying that this is something, this is a concept that could have really been super easily achieved in Photoshop. But Gregory really spent a lot of time trying to figure out a way to make this a little bit bigger than just a typical digital project. And I think when you guys watch this video that's like going on top of this, you'll see why.
Dan was putting in the red instruments and we're like, okay, this isn't working. So I was like, no. We're going to paint it. Just paint it all. So now we have to figure out how do we paint it? This thing is up. How do we paint it? It's pretty fragile, and that's why you saw it falling down. We paint everything that's going to be the bars. And the way that we do this is we project onto this statue that's standing up, paint the areas that are blocked out, and then turn the lights back on, and we shoot. And, you know, once again, just like the TI package, a lot of people saw it, but never saw the inside of the package to know that there was dimension going around that you would see. They all thought, oh, you know, you did this instrument, you slapped a Photoshop red bar on it. No, it was far beyond that. The initial thought behind this that didn't happen was we were going to have this installation for Jay-Z's opening party for the album. We were going to have it there. Unfortunately, this thing was in London. Jay-Z was in New York, and it just the time frame didn't work out. The one side note that is funny about the whole thing is, like I said, he is close friends with our president. I didn't send pictures back to anybody to show what I was doing. Finally, when it was done, and I had a high res, and it was cleaned up, I sent it over to Jay-Z. At that time, I was in New York, Jay-Z was in London. I'm at my desk, and I get a call from the product manager, yo, Jay-Z wants to talk to you. All I can think is, wait, what? How did he say it? So now I'm thinking, oh man, he doesn't like this. Like, so I'm sitting there a little bit nervous, like, oh man, this is gonna go horribly wrong. So they're trying to patch me through. They're like, okay, he's at the bar in the hotel and they've given him the phone and he gets me on the phone. I'm like, this is gonna go horribly wrong. This is it, you know? He gets on the phone. He's like, yo, you did your thing, man. And I'm like, you like it? He's like, yo, a lot of people come to me and they say, yo, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Nah, you did your thing and you went way above. Like, so that was it. That was the seal of approval. Jay-Z was happy and satisfied. Company was happy and satisfied. Album put to rest.
So, man, there's nothing better than finishing up a project that is sort of a creative risk and having it known that the artist is happy with it. Or not even happy with it, but that the artist is just as excited about it as you are. Like, that's a huge, huge win. So a couple things here. Dan Tobin Smith, the photographer, go into a project like this and build out the perfect team, build out the dream team. Because especially with a project like this, there is very little room for error here. So you really got to go into this thinking, you know, I know exactly who is going to build the set. I know exactly who is going to design it. I know exactly what art direction looks like. I know exactly who is going to photograph it. Build out that team. You got to think also, like at the time, this was 2007, 8, 9 probably. This Jay-Z record was like all of the hype. Like everybody was waiting for this record. So to kind of have like full creative freedom on that front is pretty amazing, honestly. And I think too, it's really, really interesting that he talks about how he didn't really even show much of the concept or much of these pre-pro ideas to his boss. But it kind of shows you just how much creative freedom you can have when you're operating at that level. You could have executed this pretty easily in Photoshop. But seeing behind the scenes and seeing the layers of this and the tapestry and kind of looking at this more as an art piece than just a cover, to me, it really elevates the world that the music revolves around in. And that is amazing creative direction. All right, so I want to get into this too. He also talks in this interview kind of about the entire process of it.
Let me ask you, what is the difference between an art director and a creative director?
I mean, my knowledge of it, a creative director now has to handle a lot more administrative work. You know, like I'm now there thinking about like, okay, what is the budget for this? How we're going to break down this budget? Like, there's a lot more administrative stuff, and I could be wrong, you know, but I think the role of the creative director is you're there to protect your department. You're there to enable them to be creative and have that flexibility to spread their wings as well.
I think to even kind of extend on that, the creative director role is really about handling the entire creative vision of a project. Whereas an art director is kind of hired on to oversee, you know, what staging looks like or what colors are going to be there. But an art director's job is really to support the creative director's vision on this entire project. But there is a level of administration behind the job that I think a lot of people don't consider much at first.
As well. You know, like at the end of the day, like everything that everybody does, if something goes horribly wrong, it's going to fall on your shoulders. And that's cool. You just have to have strong shoulders and carry that load. But I think you are there to support your team. And I think if you do support your team supports you.
That's a really great point. Yeah, you are going to be leading a team. So when you are hiring a team, man, make sure that A, you have vetted them, but B, that like these are collaborators who you are excited to work with, both for what they bring to the table creatively, but also for just who these people are as human beings. Like, you guys are gonna be spending a lot of time in the trenches on a lot of things, so like make sure that it's a team who you really feel like understands the vision, gets along well, and can kind of think in that team capacity.
And just, I think when creative people have creative freedom, that's when you get the best possible work. You know, so if you can be there to kind of buffer anything that's stifling that creative freedom, then I think that's good. And I think that's what a creative director should be doing.
Man, okay. I'm going to pause there. I think that is the quote of this entire video. So good. So good. Give notes and be proactive on making sure that your vision's coming to life. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you're hiring the right people for the job, you shouldn't really need to be giving a lot of notes. I'm going to link below to this entire interview. Check it out. If you guys are interested in learning from legends in this field, I definitely recommend this entire interview. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this channel, if you enjoyed this video, please take a moment and subscribe to the channel. Please take a moment to give this video a like, send it to a friend, share it around. Thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.